I'm going to try one more video today while I'm at it. I want to talk about the 5080 course diamond stone that Wicked Edge makes available. There's always that conversation that comes up from time and time again on the forums and on the Facebook group about using the 5080 grit stone for reprofiling. First thing I want to discuss profiling and reprofiling. For me, this has always been a confusing choice of words and subject matter because I'm from the generation, I grew up with Alfred Hitchcock and the Mystery Hour with the profile. So the point I'm trying to make is, what is the profile of a knife? Which word are each of us as an individual when we say reprofile the knife? What in our mind do we mean by profile? Here is a knife. Is this the profile? Is this the edge, the profile, how narrow it is? This seems to be the word that's used most often when we discuss changing the bevel angle to make it narrower, say from a 20 degrees per side edge to a 15 degree. We're making this narrower. Are we changing the profile? Does that mean the profile is this way? When we use the word profile, is it this way? Is it this way? Is it this way? The point that I'm trying to make is that we throw out these words profile and reprofile, and we're not sure who is hearing that word and understanding the choice of word, the semantics or the meaning of the use of that choice of word. Let me show you this knife. What do you call the profile on this knife? This is the knife grind. Is this the primary grind? I'm using another word now. When we talk about profile, we talk about the grind of the knife. This knife, it looks like, has a primary grind that goes all the way to the bevel. That is the profile of this knife described by that single primary bevel. Here's a knife that has a grind, a different grind, another grind here you can see mirror, and then there's the bevel grind. On the back side, the edge looks flat, but if you look at the profile, it's really curved in. So my point is, when we use the word profile a knife and reprofile a knife and start talking with coarse stones to change the edge angle, these words for me get all confused and put together. The point that I want to make is, anything that you do to your knife edge is permanent. The knife comes how it comes from the maker with a certain amount of steel. Anything that we do to it is removing and reshaping the steel. I'm going to go high tech now and bring out some digital aids to help make my point. When we rub our stones across our knives, across our bevel, we are using those points of the stone to grate the steel. This one, for instance, is 100 grit. This one, for instance, we'll call this one the 80 grit, which is more coarse. And this one over here, do I have that right? This one down here, the deeper one, we'll call the 50 grit. Any of these cuts with your stones that you put into your steel removes steel and makes grooves. And any groove you put in, 100, a 50, 100, a 75, 180, a 50, whatever the numbers are, whatever you put in order to smooth that out, we have to work incrementally with smoother and smoother, less coarse grits to smooth this out. And what we're doing is we're taking all of the steel off the top. We're going to take all the steel off the top, and we're trying to even it out like we did here. And each grit removes more steel, and eventually your edge is going to go from where we started. The edge is going to get lower into a thicker portion of the steel, and it's going to get lower still to a thicker portion of the steel later on. So whatever coarse stone you want to start with, understand the repercussions of it. You are putting grooves in your steel, and to smooth it out and finish it out and make that mirror polish, you have to smooth everything out, and each step that you do, you're removing more and more steel. Now, take that into consideration. When you're sharpening your knife, I explained how this is a stepwise incremental sharpening system. If you choose to use it, it allows you to work through the grits to smooth this out. But you have to understand that when you start with the 50/80 stone, and I've heard the word used a lot, it hogs out the steel. Well, it hogs out the steel. It really removes the steel. There may be a place for it in your sharpening regimen. I understand that. But you have to understand whatever grooves you put in order to smooth it out and polish that edge up to that micro fine apex that we're looking for, those polished mirrored edges, all of those scratches that you lay down have to get taken out. And when you remove steel very deep, in order to flatten that out, you're taking everything down to that base point. You're making that edge shorter and thicker. And the thicker the edge gets, the wider that profile. That's why I speak about the word profile and reprofile. Unless you're going to thin that edge all the way down to maintain that original, you're making stubs out of your knife. So consider that when you consider your grits. People say, oh, you use up too much stones and this and that. Well, if you look at the price of 100 grit, 200 grit stone from Wicked Edge, it's been pretty much less than $100 for years. And that's 2 grits and a pair of stones. And I've been doing it a long time. I've used up some 100 grit and 200 grit stones, but that's a whole lot less than replacing a knife because I turned it into a stub. So when you're thinking about using the 50/80 or any of your coarse stones, remember that when you scratch steel, it goes away, and that your actions have repercussions. And I'm not telling you don't use it, but I'm just telling you to pick and choose when you use it. Just because it's the coarsest stone, it doesn't mean when you're starting to sharpen a knife, you start with that most coarse stone. You choose the stone that's appropriate for what you need to do. That comes with experience. That's the art of sharpening. I just wanted to talk about the 50/80. It has its place. Its place is not always, and be careful using it because the results of using a stone are permanent. Thanks.